Let's see. So, you take the purple one, I'll take the green one. Is it purple or blue, actually?
Yeah, I think it's purple. It's like that, a few years ago they had this dress online. Is it
Oh my gosh.
blue or is it white?
Okay, so we're going to start out real simple. So, we're going to start out with a figure 8 knot. So, you're going to start with a loop. So, a loop of any rope is called a bite.
A bite?
A bite.
Okay.
So, we're going to start with a bite. And then you're going to go around the front and then back up through the front. Just like that.
Okay.
So that, and then you kind of pull it like this. So this is called a simple figure 8. So there's not a lot of uses for this. You can maybe use it as a stop knot. I feel like you're coming to the end of the rope. So one thing to note is you always want to have a knot at the end of your rope. Because in case you're descending, for example, and you go
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
you're shit out of luck then. So figure 8s are cool, but what's really cool is what you can do with it as a double figure 8. So instead of, let's practice that figure 8 a couple times. So you make the loop. So when you think about it, make your ghost, choke him out, punch him in the face.
Got it.
Yep. So then you just do that same thing. You pull down some slack, and now you make this, and then you do it everything but doubled. So you make your loop, but now it's 2 loops.
Gotcha.
Yes. Then you choke him out, and you punch him in the face. Now instead of an end, you're left with a loop. Oh, see, you missed a loop.
Okay. Do that again.
So make your loop.
Come over.
So I like to have it hanging like this. So I'll make a loop, choke him out, punch him in the face. So you went around the back, so you want to come in the back.
So if I go to the back.
You go around the back, yep.
Oh, okay, I see that.
So you make this nice, if you kind of smush it out a little bit, you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is an anchor rated knot. This will give you full strength of your rope at an anchor point. So whenever you make an anchor, you want to make it a double figure 8. So go ahead and do it a couple times. Yep, as that double loop wraps it around, gives it a nice strength.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Yep.
And this is called what again?
A double figure 8 or a figure 8 on a bite. Because it's a figure 8, but you end up with a bite, just a loop. So the other way to tie this guy is to tie a single figure 8, but like kind of low down. So you tie your single figure 8 with a lot of extra slack. So it's like maybe a foot or 2 down from the top. Yep. And then you take your slack. So for example, I'm going to tie it around this guy. And you take your end and you just follow the way you came from, right? So you came through here, he goes through there. He goes down and around, you go down and around. You go through the middle, you go through the middle. He goes up and around, you go up and around. He goes down and through, you go down and through. Following it exactly, and you end up with the same knot. But the added advantage of this one is that now you've tied it around something and you didn't need a secondary connection. See, I tied it around this loop.
So what would the purpose of this be if you're tying it around?
So
something?
if you, for example, had something large you wanted to tie it around, like the only thing your only anchor point is like a really big beam, and you ran out of slings, for example, or you wanted to use your sling somewhere else, or your carabiners, you could tie this. You could tie this. You can make this loop as large as you want. You can tie it around a tree if you want.
Oh wow, okay.
You just calculate for as much slack as you need, and you just tie it around.
Nice.
So again, you start with your single figure 8, but you leave yourself a nice long tail.
Oh, that's where I messed up. I didn't do the tail. Let's try to fold over again.
So why don't you try with the green one? So simple figure 8, and then make this tail longer.
Gotcha.
It's like you went an extra,
I'll do it again.
an extra loopy there.
I don't know what I did.
You wrapped it twice around the
Okay,
thing.
so here.
So give yourself more slack, like way more. Like
Okay.
that. And then tie your knot here. So bring your loop down. Here's your ghost. Go around the back. Bring it around the back. And thread it in the back.
Oh, that's simple.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Here, over, back and under. One long slack.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you take that long slack, go through this guy, for example, and you're gonna follow like this is like your race car, and this rope is your track, and you just follow it around. So
Okay,
go ahead.
I just tuck it under, over, back.
Yep. So you just go back in. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, you missed. See how this one's not following him? You just go under
goes
that,
under
under
this.
both of them.
Oh, I see. It just the snake's tail just following
Yep.
the head. Oh, wow.
Then you count it out. Make sure you have that same knot.
Yeah.
So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Nice. And I'm through the loop. Just new video. Okay.
Yep. So that is a double figure 8 on a bite. A couple different ways to tie it. There's actually another variation called the super 8. So you tie your figure 8 on a bite like this, right? With a little bit more slack. So if you go around the front, you come in the front, right? So, but then instead of putting the bite through, you actually grab it in the middle and send the middle of it through.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take your bite and actually flip it up and over.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
And
pretty
you're
cool.
left with 2 ears and more lines in here.
Show me that.
So tie your normal figure 8. Yep, keep going on. But you want like a lot more slack, so tie it further down.
Okay.
See how this is your slack?
Right, okay.
So go ahead and go around. Yeah, so that's normally how you tie it, but instead of sending the bite through,
You're gonna send a
send
loop
the middle through.
through the top part of the 8.
And you grab this guy and you send it over, and it slips down around like that.
Wow, it's pretty cool. Like double the strength.
It's not quite double, but it is increased.
Okay.
So that's the Super 8. But again, it's the same thing. The normal figure 8 will be fine. for most applications, but if you want a little extra strength, for example, like if I knew we were going to put 2 people on that rope, so I tied a Super 8. Oh, no, you missed a loop. So if you go in the front, you gotta come in the front.
Okay, let me try that. Okay.
Not quite.
Close?
Yeah, it's close. So instead of going into that hole, you go around him. Pull it up.
That was pretty close.
You were pretty close.
Okay.
Nope. So you went through too fast. So if you go around the back, you gotta come in the back. But instead of going with the bite,
Go here,
and then pinch the middle.
Oh, I grabbed it from there. Oh, okay. So when I do my 8, I grab it right here.
No. So you go around the front, so you gotta come in the front. Yep, and then you send the throat through, and then this loops over the top. Yeah. And then it kind of twists and goes around.
All right. I got it on your video. You getting it, so I'm sure. All right, cool.
Cool, and that's the Super 8.
All right, Super 8. Nice.
So let's move on to the next one.
Super 8.
Not really. And then you feed it down the center of your loops. And then you pull the end, and you're left with this little barrel. Yep, pull.
Oh.
You want to be careful not to lose the loops as you go, because sometimes they slip out at the end of it.
Mm-hmm. And you can do this one as many times as you want.
Many times you want. So let's see. So sometimes you like to have your finger kind of in the middle here, and then you can spiral up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you see where my finger is? You just replace the end of your rope. You replace your finger with the working end of the rope. So it comes down, and as it tightens up, you can make a big one, you can make a small one. These are really handy knots. This is the one you really don't want to have too much slack on, because this loop can get lost sometimes before you tie it down.
Okay.
But yeah, so that is a simple barrel knot. So that's step 1. Now there's a bunch of different variations you could do on this knot. So the first one is called the scaffold knot. So the scaffold knot is actually very similar to a noose, where it gives you a loop that you can tighten down at the end. So instead of just spiraling up and then going back down, you're going to start up, because you want to end up with that loop, spiral down to the end of your rope, right? And then you're going to, maybe it's a little bit more slack there. So you start with a loop, and you kind of pinch it where you want your knot to start, and you spiral down 1, 2, 3 maybe, and then you go back up the center. Now as you can see, there's going to be 3 lines coming through here. You've got your working line, you've got this side of the loop and you've got that side of the loop. So there's 3 pieces of rope sliding through that middle. And then you tighten it down. And then boom, you've got a barrel knot that chokes down on this eyelet. So this knot is great for tying an end of a lanyard. If you want to have, like, say, a snap hook or a carabiner at the end of your lanyard, you just put your carabiner in there, you can tighten it down, you can click off, and now you've got a nice, good section of rope.
Nice.
I'm not sure about the stats on this one, if it's stronger than the double figure 8, but it is at least comparative to the figure 8. So for an anchor knot, I'd probably tie a double figure 8, but for pretty much all other lanyards, I'd try this one just because it's a little bit more clean. And it can cinch down, which the double figure 8 cannot do. Of course, you have to have something in there, otherwise it just pulls right out. Yep, so it's a great knot, for example, if you want to tie like a hammer or a wrench to the end of a rope, and you just tie that barrel knot, cinch it right down, and you've got a nice tightened loop.
Okay.
So the other variation, so we've got the normal barrel, we've got the barrel on a bite, or the scaffold knot, and the last one is called the fisherman's knot. So the fisherman is going to give you a loop like this, and essentially you just tie 2 back-to-back barrel knots. So you tie one going one direction, so loop, de-loop, de-loop, thread it down. Now the important thing about this is now the other side is inside that barrel. It slips through it. So then you take this end, which is loose, the one that is able to slide, right? So you take this end, pull out some slack, flip your knot around, and tie another barrel knot on the first rope. Tighten him down, and now you've got,
oh wow,
2 back-to-back barrels. So I don't know if you've done like scout camp, like bracelets or whatever, but this is essentially that. So it will tighten down and give you a nice strong anchor loop. And you can use this loop for slings, you can use it for an anchor point, you can use it for whatever you want, because that's a nice solid splice.
You show me that one more time with this one?
Yeah, of course. So actually, sometimes it's easy to see with 2 different colors. Just why I have these 2 different colors. So you got your 2 colors, right? So first off, you tie one barrel knot around the other one. So you loop up just like your normal barrel knot, but now you're also going around the other rope.
So you're going around both ropes right now?
Yeah. You feed it back through, and then boom, now this green rope is captured.
Right.
Now, the green rope also wants to capture. It's kind of like holding hands like this.
Okay.
So this rope is going to come and make the same barrel knot, but going back the opposite direction. So he's going to spiral up. Give him a little bit more slack, actually. Spiral up, 1, 2, and then he's going to go down the center, just like normal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay.
And then you have 2 back-to-back knots.
Wow.
Making a splice.
And that is called a
Double fisherman's.
double fisherman. That's pretty cool.
So there's 3 different variations of the barrel knot. You've got your normal barrel knot, which is just a good stop knot. Then you've got your scaffold knot, which is good to cinch down into tools and such, and carabiners. And then you've got your double fisherman's, which is this back-to-back hand-holding knot, which gives you either a splice or a loop, loops are really, really nice to have in towers because they allow you to have multiple strands of rope. Now instead of 1, now you've got 4 strands of rope, so it's 4 times the strength of the original rope. So really good, and you can also use these as prussiks. Remember we went over prussiks earlier, where you tie over a knot. So prussik knot is, you got your loop here, you send it under and around, under and around, under and around. 3 times, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 if you need more friction. Probably don't need more friction. These knots are pretty friction heavy. And they form this little fist like this.
Oh, wow.
So it's better to have a bigger diversity in the, in the size of ropes. So you always want a smaller rope tied onto a larger rope.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
But this knot, again, it will hold if you pull it on the loop, but it will slide if you slide it back and forth from the knot side. So that's one reason to use the double fisherman, is to give you a bound loop prusik sling. You just undo this guy.
Nice.
And that's it.
All right, we're good.
So this is called the timber hitch, but it also involves the clove hitch. So you're going to start out with some sort of attachment, and I like to use the clove hitch. So you make 2 bites back to back.
Like a pretzel.
Kind of like a pretzel. Like, as you can see, one's on top and one's beneath.
Okay.
And then the one that's underneath, you're going to put on top, and the one that's on the bottom, you're going to put.
Oh, okay.
And the one on top, you're going to put on the bottom. So it makes this little X thing. You're going to slide that down on your pipe. So this is, for example, like a pipe. And that's your classic clove hitch right there. And there's a bunch of different ways you can tie it. So you don't have to tie it like that. You could just tie it like this and then go around and in the middle again. And that's the same knot. But that just gives you a nice attachment point and a pipe to start your timber hitch or your running hitch. And you just go up here and you make a loop like this.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that.
And then you make another one. Now the important thing is here you have to go underneath. You can't go over it because it'll just slip off.
Right.
If you do this, and then you do another one, however many you want, and now you can lift that whole piece of pipe nice and smooth. The advantage with this is the more you pull on it, the more tighter it binds, and also it'll give pressure across the whole length of the pipe. So this is also good for pulling cables. Yeah. So if you've got a long chunk of cables, you just you do the running hitch or timber hitch, I can't remember which one it's called, down maybe like 5 feet of the cable, and like, you know, tape it so it doesn't slip. And then boom, you're pulling on not just the end of the cable, you're pulling on this entire section of the cable. And the more you pull, the tighter it's going to get. So you're going to have a nice firm connection place to that pile of cables. Of course, it'll just slop down if you don't have it attached firmly, though.
We use that when we pull cable.
Exactly. That's a perfect use for this knot. But you can also use it for lifting pipes or hauling logs. But yeah, you just need some way to attach it at the bottom. Now, some people just, you know, say, fuck it, I've got a carabiner. Just clip the carabiner here and then start your running hitch. But either way,
you have more control that way.
It's not really the carabiner that's holding it, it just starts the location.
Okay.
And it's actually the running hitch that holds it in place.